Joining us right now, former gubernatorial candidate, Tea Party activist, Deborah Medina. She is funky, I'm sure, although we haven't met Deborah, and certainly not cold. Welcome to Houston's Morning News. It's great to have you on, Deborah.
Good morning, Matt. Welcome to Texas.
Now, thank you so much. Please tell me I'm not the first one to do the funky cold Medina thing with you. I mean, you must have heard that
No,
before.
there's a great rap about the gubernatorial campaign, so somebody's beat you to that punch.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, I figured as much, so I figured I'd throw it out there. Hey, listen, let me just mention this. You've got a nonprofit group called We Texans, and that is something that I know is very near and dear to your heart. Just real quick before we get into Governor Perry, tell me about that group.
That group continues work that we started about 3 years ago to get rid of property tax in the state of Texas, and also works on state sovereignty issues. So you can learn all about us at WeTexans.com.
I'm going there right now. I want to be a part of that group. Anything to get rid of property taxes, I'm on board with. But you're not so happy with Governor Perry. There was some suggestion on this show yesterday from folks that said he's a rhino. Would you agree with that, or I mean, is it that bad?
You know, we love to throw labels around. I think in politics, my concern with Governor Perry has been that what you see and what you get aren't the same thing, and I think that the media is beginning to do a better job, and perhaps the public's beginning to see some of the inconsistencies between his message, his rhetoric, and how he actually governs, and therein ought to lie our real concern.
You know, Deborah, I'm new to the state, as you know, but I've always been a huge fan of the state of Texas and a huge fan of Governor Perry, and I still am. But I'm interested. Give me, if you can, in about 30 seconds, and we'll take a break and we'll come back for more. But give me one glaring example. Do you think of him not walking it the way he's talking it?
The economy is not quite in the rosy shape that he talks about. The comptroller's going next week to Wall Street to borrow $9.8 billion, which is $3 billion more than we've ever had to borrow before. When we're told everything is rosy and we got the budget balanced, why are we having to borrow more money? When we've cut funding to education, why are we having to borrow more money?
And this is, has he responded to that at all, as far as you know? I mean, what is his response? You've had, I'm sure, an opportunity to ask him that.
I think those questions are starting to resurface, and I expect as we see his nod towards the presidential campaign get a little more certain that those questions will be asked.
All right, Deborah Medina joining us here this morning. Deborah, hang on. When we come back, I want to ask you, what can the governor do to get the Tea Party completely in his camp? Joined by former gubernatorial candidate and Tea Party activist Deborah Medina. Deborah, welcome back to Houston's Morning News, and thanks for taking the time. Let me quote you, if I can. You said, "It's real easy to walk into a church on Sunday morning and sing from the hymnal." You're talking about Governor Rick Perry. "I saw a guy that talked like a Tea Party candidate but didn't govern like one." So what does he have to do, Deborah, to get the Tea Party behind him if he chooses to run for president?
One of the things that we have seen in the last couple of years is he avoids the public, he avoids the media, he avoids press conferences, he avoids editorial boards. So he's got this very neatly structured marketing team that puts out there a well-groomed, well-dressed, tough-talking package, but that's not what we see when he governs.
Now, Deborah, I mean, is this a bit of sour grapes for you because of I know you ran against him, and I won't go back and go over the whole episode, but I mean, did it leave kind of a bad taste in your mouth? Is this why you're kind of going after this guy a little bit?
No, not at all. I think what we've got is bad policy, and all of us, a lot of folks are going after bad policy. Most recently, just as you were getting here, I think we were finishing up a special legislative session in Texas. There was a tremendous amount of support for halting the groping that's done by the TSA agents as we pass through airports.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Governor didn't help on that. Governor had to be pushed and forced and cajoled and coddled to get him to put it on the call in the first place, and then the leadership in Texas did everything they could. The TSA went, ooga booga, we're going to shut down airports in Texas, and we all trembled like little children and crawled under our bed and said, okay, we'll leave you alone. Meanwhile, our citizens continue to be assaulted almost every time they go through the airport.
Who would you like to see? Just real quick here, Deborah, and again, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. If not Perry, then who? I mean, who does the Tea Party in Texas want to get behind?
I think what the Tea Party wants is a good, fair debate for candidates to get out there and show us who they are, show us how they govern, and govern in a way that's limited government and consistent with the Constitution. We have very few folks that are stepping up to do that. Certainly, we'll see as the voters in Iowa, I guess, get to grapple with that first.
You like Bachmann? I mean, is Bachmann somebody like Palin, maybe? Is there anyone?
Well, welcome to Texas. I don't think it's a secret. I'm a huge fan of Congressman Ron Paul. And others are going to be looking and moving towards his direction. So we'll see what the voters do with that this go-round.